Ooh, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the Sports Reality. My name is Jeremy John, here to bring to you all things sports. Let's welcome my man Matthew in the building. How are you, Matt?
Good. How you doing?
It's doing well, man. How was the weekend, man? I didn't see you this weekend, man. So you alive?
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. Not terrible.
You would have to explain why was it pretty good, man.
Man, got a little rest, had a little fun. Finally got to sit down and see some football games.
True. I think how many games did I watch this weekend? Actually, I did the opposite of you. I didn't watch too many. I mean, unfortunately, I had to watch the debacle of my Cowboys.
Ooh, that was a bad one.
And I honestly didn't finish watching it. I said, this game is over. Figure out when you lose and keep it moving. Move on to the next week. Also, I did watch some college football, though. Did watch that. Did you have a chance to watch the Canelo Alvarez Triple G fight?
I did not. I heard that it ended in a draw.
Yes, ended in a split draw, so we'll get into that. But before we get into that, let's welcome my man, Jacob. How's everything with you?
What's up, man?
Doing well, man. How was the weekend?
That's a good question. I don't remember most of it.
Oh, that's a good question. Sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, that's great.
Before we get into the show, I have some news to tell everyone out there, all our viewers and our listeners out there. I will be taking an extended break, so this will be the last show for a little while. But I want to thank all those who watch, who support, who listen. 4 years here, 200 plus shows. And I've seen the show grow from starting out literally getting 100 viewers a week all the way up to now consistently 900, some weeks over 1,000. So definitely needed this platform to grow the brand, and it has grown. But because of obligations right now, I do need to take a leave of absence. However, it does not mean that the show is over, nor am I not going to be around. We do have the social media outlets, Sports Reality on Instagram, sports_reality_ on Twitter, and still have the Facebook page. We'll be using that outlet to put out news and other interesting videos, topics, and things like that. So please make sure you still follow, because we still are a news outlet, and that's how I see this show and the platform that we have. So even though I will not be doing a show for the next maybe couple months, it does not mean that it is totally over. So we'll be back. So I want to say thanks for everything. Jacob, you came in for the last 6-7 months probably around.
Yeah.
But I've had engineers like you, Jay, Max, Mike, Sherman, DJ Freeze, all these guys who are always here. Yeah, and it has been fun. Never had issues. Insightful, not just on my end, but also from the engineers telling me about things that they do. So it's been a good ride, but it's not over. Just taking a little break, taking a pit stop. That's how I see it. It's not. The trip is not over. So, just want to get that out there and let you all know that will be happening. Let's move on right now to today in sports history. Today is September the 18th. Oh, by the way, I have two friends that have birthdays today. Our boy, Matthew Mike Edwards.
No.
Big 40 club right there, and my other boy Matthew Corley.
Oh.
Yeah, man. You knew
their birthday.
Yeah, man. So seeing young black men reaching these milestones of life and everything that's going on. All right, September the 18th, 2017. On September 18th, 1915, the first asphalt-covered automobile racetrack was opened in Cranston, Rhode Island. 1956, Mickey Mantle hit his 50th home run of the 56th season. In 1965, also an accomplishment by Mickey Mantle. He played his 2000th game. Art Williams in 1972 became the first black umpire in National League history. In 1993, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks played the Pittsburgh Penguins in their first NHL preseason game. Talking about the Mighty Ducks, it's crazy how a movie came out first and then an actual professional team. Isn't that kind of crazy, Matt?
It's insane.
Disney got
Great movie though.
Well, I understand. From what I understand, where they play, or where they initially played, is not far from Disney World, and I understand Disney does have some sort of ties to the actual team. Like, I think they have part ownership of the team. So, of course, after a movie, a hockey movie, a kids hockey movie, they would then name a professional team after the movie. In 1997, Sev Ballesteros and Nick Faldo were elected to the World Golf Hall of Fame. All right, so let's get right into college football. Matt, did you watch any college football games? I watched some college football games.
Didn't
but did you
watch any, but I got updates about the Georgia, whoever they destroyed game.
Woo. Yeah, they definitely put in some work. They definitely did put in some work. They beat Samford, not Stanford. Samford, 42-14. Other notable top 25 scores: number 22, South Florida. Do you realize South Florida is number 22 in the country?
That's pretty good.
And do you know who their head coach is?
Is it Lane Kiffin?
No, not Lane Kiffin. Not that fraudulent of a coach.
No clue.
Charlie Strong.
Oh, that's cool.
Where was he last year? He was at Texas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a little step to the side.
But his team is number 2 in the nation. Number 22, sorry, in the nation. 3-0. What's happening at Texas right now?
They're not playing well. Didn't they just lose to USC?
Yep, we will get into that. They are 1-2, but we will get into that. And then they hire Tom Herman, who was supposed to be the coach of the year, coach on the market. And then when he gets there after losing to Maryland a couple weeks ago, he's like, "Hey, man, these ain't my players, though." Oh, he openly said that.
He needs a recruiting class, he said.
He openly said that in the media. Well, this ain't the, I had a mess when I came here, so I mean, that's literally what he said. Not literally, but
throw somebody else under the bus, I guess.
Yep. But yeah, South Florida, 47-23 over Illinois. I understand it's Illinois, but still, hey, 3-0, number 22 in the nation. Alabama beat Colorado State 41-23. Colorado State actually played fairly decent. I did see some highlights, and I read up on the game. And, I mean, the score says 41-23, but, I mean, I would have thought Colorado State would have got demolished. I thought it would have been one of those, 60-10 games. And actually, they kind of stuck around. They scored some points in the second quarter, and they scored some in the fourth quarter. I understand when I was think with the Colorado State, they started out real slow. It is like they kind of got confidence. Halftime came. Then they started off the third quarter slow, and then fourth quarter came. They had a little confidence. Those were not garbage touchdowns that I saw on the highlights and in the when I was reading up on it. They actually scored 13 points in the fourth quarter, legitimate points. Oklahoma, number 2 in the nation, beats Tulane 56-14. This was supposed to be the matchup of the week. Number 3, Clemson, going up against number 14, Louisville. Clemson, man, it wasn't even close, 47-21. Lamar Jackson, even though he had 317 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, first half did not look good. He was 9 for 30 in the first half. So he did not look too good. This was also one of the big games of the week that we just mentioned a few minutes ago. USC, Texas. Mm-hmm. First time they played against each other since the 2006 national title at the Rose Bowl. Let's talk about that game first. Was that one of the best college games that you saw?
I think so, yeah. It was a good college game.
It was probably one of the best college football games that had a some meaning to it. It wasn't just a regular bowl game. It wasn't a regular season game. It was the national title game. You had USC that hadn't lost in almost 3 years, going for their third straight national title game. You had a Texas team that was undefeated, that had a Heisman Trophy candidate in Vince Young. Matt Leinart, who had won the Heisman the year before, and then Reggie Bush won it that year. So you have the three Heisman candidates from that year in the game. You had one of the best defenses in Texas. You had probably the best offense in USC. Texas's offense wasn't bad at all. They were actually pretty decent. And USC always puts out NFL talent. The question came up: did USC win that? Did USC lose that game, or did Texas win that game? I'm gonna ask you, Matt. That national title game, did Texas win or did USC lose?
I think Texas won.
I would have to agree with you too. Texas won that game. And when I say obviously they won, there's a score. We know they're the national title champions of that year. But not only did they win, they won because of them. They played well. Vince Young probably had one of the best games a quarterback can have in a college game. You had, listen to this roster here. Jamal Charles was not even the starting running back on that team.
It's crazy.
Jamal Charles. You had Henry Melton, who was the third or fourth string running back, who ended up, when he went to the NFL, playing defensive end. Like, that's how talented he was. He had out of the starting offense for Texas, I think like 9 of those guys made it to the league. The defense had like another 9 or 10 guys that made it to the league. USC, same thing, talent. Now, there were some blunders on USC. Like, do you remember when Reggie Bush lateraled that ball?
I do. It was on ESPN for a while.
And everyone's just kind of like, why did you lateral the ball? Because the lateral ended up being a fumble as a turnover. Then do you remember that 4th and 2 play where they gave it to Lendell White and he got stuffed?
He did not convert, yeah.
And that's the one thing about Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll has made some coaching blunders in big spots.
Yeah, like the Super Bowl.
Exactly. Like, this isn't new. This isn't new. In a pressure situation, he can make a blunder. And to have Lendell White in the game, which, by the way, I think was the smart play to give it to Lendell White, who had 3 touchdowns in that game, by the way. However, you still have to have Reggie Bush on the field to at least open up your options. That play, Reggie Bush was not on the field. So the Texas defense just knew the ball's going to Lendell White. So they sold out for it. You put Reggie Bush in the backfield, which they had plenty of plays, not just that game, during that season where they had both of them were on the field. So you didn't know who was getting the ball. You didn't know it was going to be a run. You didn't know it was a pass. You were able to move Reggie Bush out of the backfield into slot or wide out. There were so many options. When they left Lendell White in the game by himself it was a 3 tight end set, not even a 2 tight end set, a 3 tight end set. You know the ball is being run. So Texas sold out, stopped them on 4th down, went down the field, marched down, and got a touchdown by Vince Young. So a lot of people were talking about this game as the rematch. You know, USC is coming back for revenge. And I thought to myself, did USC and Texas become professional football teams?
No, yeah, this is not a revenge game.
And that's how they were trying to sell it, a revenge game. This is the first time they played since 2006. Do you know where I was in 2006, Matt?
High school.
Well, no, very close. I was a freshman in college. I'm turning 30 this year. That's how long ago that game was.
It's forever.
So think about the players who are actually playing in this game.
They were.
If you were 18, if you're a freshman right now who plays at USC or Texas, it was 11 years ago.
No, yeah, you have no idea what that game
You were 7 years old when that game played. You probably didn't even watch the game. Your parents probably told you had to go to bed because you had school the next day. So when they were trying to hype it up as the rematch and come in for revenge, it was like none of these guys played. Like, it's not
nobody in the stadium, or none of the kids that went to the school knew either.
Exactly. No one at any of these schools were not anywhere close to being old enough to watch this game and really remember. And of course, there's going to be the hardcore fans. Like, I see myself as a hardcore fan. I remember games from when I was a kid too. But I mean, this ain't a professional team where some of those guys actually could still be on the team. yeah, no. This isn't like I'm gonna talk about my man Jason Witten right here. It ain't like Jason Witten's still on. Like Jason Witten's been in the league for the Cowboys since 2003. This guy is still in the league. So you want to talk about something that happened way back in the day? Yeah, you could say, hey, he remembers what it's like. There's still guys, but when it comes to college, these guys weren't even they weren't even close to being college age to even remember this game. It's not like it happened last year or even 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It happened 11 years ago. Like terrible sell for that game. Hey, but let's actually talk about the game. It went to overtime. Is Sam Darnold for real, Matt?
I think he might be. Jeremy.
I think he can, and I think he will be the number one overall pick. But you realize he's thrown two interceptions, at least two interceptions every game this year.
Yeah, that's not good. Do you think teams, is he good enough to tank for?
No. I think he'll be a solid NFL quarterback. I think he can potentially make Pro Bowls.
But he's not the second coming.
He's not John Elway. He's not
Andrew Luck.
He's not Andrew Luck.
Oh, no.
Well, but
Andrew Luck has been messing up too.
There's a possibility that I don't know. I mean, actually, Andrew Luck wasn't even someone that you tank for. He was not someone that you tank for.
He was a surefire lock to be a Pro Bowler.
Yeah, but you got to remember the Colts and their situation. Manning was out,
injured for a whole year.
Yeah, and it was just like, you know what? If we're not gonna have him, then we might as well not actually. And I don't even think they tanked. I think they really just are bad. And and it's funny because some of those guys are still there, and they're still pretty bad without Andrew Luck. Yeah, and I think it just happened to fall in the cards of the Colts that, hey, maybe we should let Manning walk because, I mean, this is a neck injury. And, hey, this guy Andrew Luck is there. But Sam Darnold, look, he's going to be drafted number one overall, and I think he's going to play in the NFL 10-plus years. That being said, I don't think he's not an O.J. Simpson. Remember, teams were really trying to tank for O.J. Simpson. Like, I know it's a whole different position. O.J. was a running back. But teams were really trying to tank for O.J. Simpson because they knew he was going to be a game changer. And O.J., he was a game changer. Who was the last, I guess, college prospect that was a must-have? Like, everyone, no matter what team you were, would say, hey, we want that person. Who was the last person? I would say the last person probably was Cam Newton, probably. In my opinion. Cam Newton might have been the last top college prospect where it was just like, you know what? We must have. I wouldn't even say Andrew Luck. I think Andrew Luck came with some hype.
There were some commentators or like scouts and stuff that weren't sold on Cam, though, weren't there?
Yeah, but I was.
No, I feel you. I feel you. He looked like he was going to be a stud, and he is. But I don't know if the general consensus around like the, like everybody, the sports talk people was that Cam was a can't miss prospect.
All right, so yeah, that's a great question. So who do you think was the general consensus from
the last surefire like can't miss? But it's funny because I'm not gonna say he missed because I think that he had a pretty good career. Was Reggie Bush? And people were like starstruck by him. Like he was amazing.
Yeah, Reggie Bush might be that guy. And funny, what did he go? He went second, right?
I believe.
Or was it
so. I
third?
can't remember who went first.
Mario Williams
True.
went
Mario Williams was ridiculous.
went first to the Texans. Then it was I think he was second. He was the Saints, and then Vince was the Titans, or that way, or was it Vince and then I can't remember. They were 2 or 3, but yeah. Sam Darnold, I think he's going to play 10 plus years in the NFL. So I'm not saying he's about to be some bum. And I think he's going to start probably out of the 10 years. He'll probably start like 9. So I'm not saying he's about to be some backup quarterback, but there's
not going to be Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He's already better than Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm sorry. He's already better than Ryan Fitzpatrick. Ryan Fitzpatrick should not be in the NFL at all. At all. Talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick real quick. There's some news, and we'll wait till we get into our NFL segment. Let's move on to the boxing real quick. Had a big fight. This was probably the big fight of the year, the real boxing match of the year. Canelo Alvarez.
Pretty sure the Mayweather fight happened.
It happened. That didn't mean it was real.
Fake boxing.
That was fake boxing. Yep. Yeah, when Conor McGregor's your opponent, who's never boxed, it ain't real boxing. And I'm trying to tell people, Conor did not stick in there for 10 rounds. Mayweather was lazy for about 8. I don't think Mayweather even trained for that fight. Real talk. I don't think Mayweather really trained for that fight. He just probably worked on some cardio to get in shape. But actual technique, I've never seen Mayweather be so lazy in the ring. So lazy. And I think he really thought, like, look, this guy, Conor McGregor, is not going to hit me. So why am I about to put in all this effort? And then I'm just going to wait till he gets tired, and then I'm going to pummel him. So that's why I say it was not a real fight. Now, this fight, Canelo Alvarez, Gennady Golovkin, came with the hype, went the distance, and these guys were going at it. They were knocking each other hard. They were tacticians. This was probably one of the best fights in a long time. However, ends in a split decision draw. You had one judge who said Triple G won. You had one judge that said it was a draw, but the controversy comes when one judge says that Canelo Alvarez not only won, but won 8 more rounds than Triple G. And to anyone who watched the fight, looked up the stats, the official stats of the fight, watched the fight, read the fight, you would know that Canelo Alvarez didn't win 8 more rounds than Triple G, if anything. These were reasonable. Let me say, this would have been a reasonable score, in my opinion. Triple G wins 8-4, or Triple G wins 7-5, or it's a tie 6-6. Those are the reasonable scores if you watch that fight. You can't even say 7-5 Alvarez. 10 of the 12 rounds, Triple G had the most punches landed. Total punches landed, if you break them down into each round, Triple G won 10 of the 12 rounds. Yet one judge had Canelo Alvarez winning 10 of the 12 rounds.
That's crazy.
So, of course, it ends in a split decision draw. Everyone kind of assumes now there's going to be a rematch, which it looks like, I think there was somewhere in the contract that if something like this happens, there'll be a rematch. So there's going to be a Canelo Alvarez Triple G round 2. And knowing everything that you know about what happened, are you going to try and watch that fight, Matt?
Since you said it was a really good one, yeah, I would definitely enjoy seeing a rematch.
I will watch it also. However, you know what? We just paid $100 for Mayweather and McGregor. $100. Which, by the way, I'm still trying to fight with Comcast. I've been sliding in the DMs on Twitter, trying to get them to fix that. They actually responded to my tweet. They said, "Hey, hit us up. We could discuss something." And then this fight, now you're saying, yeah, put up another anywhere from $60, because I don't know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be anywhere from $60 to $100. To do that again, to watch. I don't know. I mean, I am going to watch it, but it's going to be tough for some people to definitely watch that. Let's get into Major League Baseball real quick. The Nationals, unfortunately, lost the weekend matchup against the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers were in a crazy slump. And then all of a sudden they kind of won a few games. They won like 4 straight games up until last night where the Nationals beat them 7-1. But Nationals already wrapped up the division, so they have clinched a playoff spot already. Now it's just depending on seeding. There was still a chance that the Nationals can get home field advantage throughout, but they would have to play well. Like when I say well, maybe lose for the next, how many weeks? What was it? Only about a week and a half or 2 weeks. For the next 2 weeks, they would have to pretty much win 13 of the 14 games or 15 games left to really, get into home field advantage. Because, and I say 13 of the games because, the Dodgers aren't going to lose every game down the stretch either. So that's why I say they would have to win about 13 games just to, make sure you get home field advantage. But Nationals are still there. The NL West is kind of competitive. That the Dodgers still got to win like 5 more games to clinch their division spot there. But that was probably potentially a matchup that you'll see in the playoffs. And even though the Nationals lost the series, I think the Nationals getting Bryce Harper back, which it looks like he will be coming back soon. There's reports that he could be coming back before the regular season ends. That changes the dynamic right there. One thing about the pitching staff, they looked really well last night. They played pretty well. The bullpen played well. But we got to see what it is in the playoffs. Other news in baseball, the Cleveland Indians won, 21 or 22 straight games?
I think it was 22.
22 straight games, when their streak ended this past week. But the most consecutive wins in the American League, and they were about 4 games short from the Major League record. Cleveland Indians, they're scary. And think about it, they had a 3-1 lead against the Cubs in the World Series. And it still went 7 games, and they had to go to extra innings for the Cubs to win. This team is pretty good. They're for real. And I think, I'm still sticking to my prediction. I said it'll be Nationals and Astros, but I'm not going to be surprised if the Indians come out and come out of the AL. Other baseball news, did you see that banner that was shown at Fenway Park?
Jeremy, no, I did. Of course.
There was a banner that was displayed on the Green Monster at Fenway Park. Big, huge banner that said, quote, "Racism is as American as baseball." The fans were escorted out of the stadium. There were no punishments outside of, hey, you got to leave the stadium. There was no ban. There was no arrest or anything. So nothing serious came out of it for the fans who displayed the banner, but the banner nonetheless was shown at Fenway Park. What are your thoughts on the banner, real quick? I know I didn't really ask you a question, but when you saw the banner or heard about it, what did you think about it, Matt?
That it is disturbingly accurate, and it makes sense. Or if a banner like that, it's unfortunate, was going to be put anywhere, it made Boston makes sense. It has its unfortunate, like, kind of like stigma, I guess, as being like a more racist northern state.
Uh huh.
And it's unfortunate that that happened, but with the how America has been trending with our leadership and everything, acts like this are just becoming more and more blatant, and it's kind of ridiculous.
I would have to, unfortunately, agree with you. Also, there's a lot of things going on in this country, and you mentioned leadership, the direction that our standing president is in, the stances he's taken, starting with a Muslim ban, and then trying to deport undocumented residents who even those who are contributing to society successfully. You have a guy who wants to build a wall. You have a guy who wants to get rid of pretty much get rid of affirmative action. You have a guy who wants to get rid of Planned Parenthood, and all sorts of things that really target not just, it targets everyone, but specifically the lower income and specifically minority races. You have what's happening with police brutality. We still have redlining where certain people cannot move into certain areas. And redlining is just not moving. It's then putting resources in certain areas, and we see it. I was just telling my friend, have you ever seen a Whole Foods on a MLK?
No.
Have you ever seen an MLK that was in a not predominantly? Have you seen an MLK that's in a main area of a city?
Jeremy, I cannot say that I have.
And when I say main area, I mean like downtown, not somewhere in the city. I mean downtown. And not saying that every city needs to have an MLK, but they're strategically put in certain areas. When you see everything that's going on in this country when it comes to I didn't mention mass incarceration, corporate prisons and things like that, and how the council called ALEC and how they make laws or they propose laws that pretty much affect those of low income and those of minority races. When I see all of that, then unfortunately the banner is true. And it's not saying baseball, and that's the thing. Some people read it as, so you're saying people who play baseball, people who are in baseball are racist. No,
that's not true at all.
It was saying racism is as American as baseball. And baseball is started in America. It might not be an American sport anymore. It's global, but it started in America. It's the longest established sport in America. We have baseball goes all the way back to the 1800s, like shortly after the Civil War. So, the banner, it's unfortunately very true. So, Jacob has something. He's going to pull it up for me shortly. But, unfortunately, the banner is very true. And we're seeing issues. We're going to talk about this shortly about, we're still talking about Colin Kaepernick not being on the team. He brought up an issue that's happening within not just the black community, within America, police brutality. And you saw that his stance, just because he started it, he's not the only one doing it, but just because he started it, obviously you can see he's not on a team because of that. Jacob, you said you have something for me? Just let me know when you're ready. So, that's how long ago baseball started. Like, we can't even have a color photo. Like, that's baseball right there. So, the banner, it was pretty accurate with its statement. And then you mentioned, of course, Boston. It's kind of like fitting that would happen in Boston.
Exactly.
It's kind of fitting. And you have the owner who wants to remove the name of the street right outside Fenway, Yorkie Way, because Yorkie was a very, when I say racist owner, I'm not just saying he's a racist. it's proven that he's a racist by his acts and all the things that happened when he was an owner. Like, this is not me just giving my opinion. It was proven by law that he was a racist owner, and then you have the street named after him. Yeah, fans actually feel like it's not a big deal. Here's another issue that I heard, and it's talk about, remember Michael Bennett, who came out last week and mentioned his incident that happened at the Mayweather-McGregor fight where he was falsely detained. And you know what I've heard from a lot of people on national media, on the radio waves and television? I heard Doug Gottlieb of Fox Sports Radio say Michael Bennett exaggerated the entire situation. That was his words. He exaggerated the entire situation. Mind you, we have a 15-second clip that shows enough. If the 15-second clip that TMZ released is the maximum extent of what happened, that in itself is already pretty bad. So I don't need anything else to know that what happened to Michael Bennett was pretty traumatic. But when you have media outlets or media personalities like Doug Gottlieb say, oh, I think he's exaggerating. When you have people like, and unfortunately, this guy has a huge platform to the point that a XM radio station is named after him, Chris Mad Dog Russo, when he says, oh, well, Michael Bennett is fraudulent, so I can't believe him. I don't think this really happened. When someone who has an XM radio station says that, who is a big sports personality, when you have guys like Dan Grassa who are also on XM who say, well, maybe if Trayvon Martin didn't have a hood on his head, he would be alive. That was said. Look it up. It's on Google. You can find it. That's not me making this up. When you have prominent sports figures, and not just sports figures, American citizens who say things like that, then yeah, racism is as American as baseball. Other baseball news, the Yankees and the Red Sox were both fined for their sign stealing. An undisclosed amount, which I think is shady. And the proceeds of the fine will go to hurricane relief. Yeah, cool, you're giving the hurricane relief. But what's the fine? Is it a slap on the wrist? Because I feel like because this happened to the Yankees and the Red Sox, Major League Baseball is doing nothing about it, really. They just have to kind of show face that they actually attempted something. If this was a team like, let's say, the Baltimore Orioles or the Texas Rangers or the Tampa Bay Rays or the Miami Marlins, who are in these smaller markets, I feel like the punishment would have been drastically worse. It looks like they're not going to lose draft picks, and I think that's the only way you hurt teams, losing draft picks in a sport where they literally draft over 100 players because you need to keep the team good. Also, teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox, I believe that they would pay if the Yankees and the Red Sox were playing against each other in a series. I believe, in my opinion, that those teams would gladly pay $1 million fine to beat their rival. Like $1 million is nothing. It's nothing to these teams. So, and $1 million means nothing if it means that you're doing it to not just your rival, to all your other opposing teams. Because it's not really proven, but we don't know if these actions happened against other teams. It's just that these rivals notice these things. So, yeah, it was a big slap on the wrist. So, and unfortunately, another team's going to do it, and another team's going to get the hammer, and they're going to get the terrible punishment. Let's move on real quick to the NBA before we get to the NFL. Stephon Marbury said he wants to return to the NBA, and he's planning a return. Do you think
Chinese legend?
Do you think Stephon Marbury can make an NBA team right now?
How old is he? He's got to be in his 40s, right?
I'm guessing 40, 41, 42.
Like, I guess so. Like, not a good team. He could play for the Nets if he wanted to.
I'm looking up Marbury, trying to figure out his. He's 40. Turned 40 this year.
Nuts. Like if he's as good as like he probably is, like yeah, he could play for some NBA team, I guess.
When you're someone like Stephon Marbury who's played in the NBA for numerous years and then went over to China, found not just his niche, just like almost his calling in China.
Oh no, he is the man. There's his statue, right?
There is a statue in China for this guy.
That's crazy.
An American basketball player has a statue in China. There's probably only Yao Ming that has a statue in China. Yeah. When it comes to basketball,
Yao Ming and Stephon Marbury are mentioned in the same conversation in Chinese basketball circles.
Yes.
Dominant players.
When Stephon Marbury wins championships and is actually a very good point guard and is making all-star games and things like that, yeah, I think Marbury can make an NBA team, especially with the way it's played. I mean, if he's physically fit, he can make a team. Now, does a team want to use a roster spot on a 40-year-old? I don't know. But he could definitely make a team, and he could contribute to a team. Let's be real. If Derrick Rose is about to contribute to the Cavaliers, Stephon Marbury could contribute to an NBA team. And Derrick Rose, with all the injuries that he's had, he is legitimately going to contribute. So I think Stephon Marbury can. It's just, will a team take a chance? That's all it is. Other NBA news, your boy Kobe Bean Bryant,
the legend,
is going to have his jersey retired. And the question that everyone was asking, well, which jersey is going to be retired? And in my head, and not in my head, I said it on social media, I'm like, why is this even a question? They're just going to retire number 8 and number 24. Like, this is, he wore both jerseys for the Lakers. It's not like he wore one for one team and he wore another one for another team. You know, he wore both numbers for the same team. So why not? Why? Why would it not be that? And, of course, I was right. They're going to retire both jerseys. December 18th, so that's a week before Christmas, against the Warriors. Will you be in L.A. to watch this game, Matt? I think we might have lost Matt, but Matt's a big yeah.
No, I'm definitely not going to. Probably won't be in the building, but definitely going to be watching the game.
You'll be watching the game. See, I thought you were going to try and I thought you were going to try and make that trip out.
Make
there.
the trek.
And
see the legend.
See the legend one last time. All right, let's get into the NFL right now. Recap these scores, and then we'll go through the big news. Texans on Thursday night, which is probably a terrible. NFL needs to get rid of these early season Thursday night games.
They're so bad.
And even though I say they need to get rid of it, I will still watch it because it's on television.
Every single one.
So it's not binary. It's not that it's bad, so I'm not going to watch. Nope. Still going to watch. But these games are pretty bad, and I watch in the hopes that it will get better. And so far, we've had one Thursday night game. Or no, well, now two.
It was two. The first one was good.
The first one is, it's the first game of the year. That's fine. First time you've played in months. It's when you've played on Sunday and then you got to play on Thursday night. That's when it gets bad. And before I wrap up the show, I do want to ask a question about that. But yeah, Texans win 13-9. Bengals are 0-2. Texans are 1-1. Starting quarterback was Deshaun Watson, and he gets his first career win on his birthday. Ravens beat the Browns 24-10. Deshaun Kaiser throws 4 interceptions. Ravens defense still looking pretty good. Buccaneers playing their first game of the year because of Hurricane Irma. Wins 29-7 over the Bears. Steelers beat the Vikings 26-9. Did you know? I didn't even know. Sam Bradford, when did he get hurt?
He got hurt sometime in week 1, but it's not going to require surgery. I think they're just being a little quiet about his injury this week. I heard about it for the first time maybe Wednesday or Thursday, and I thought it was just a precautionary thing, like how they just put everybody as questionable if they're a little hurt. But yeah, he's legitimately hurt, I guess.
And he finished the game on Monday, didn't he?
Yeah, he finished.
That's what I thought. I didn't know anything was wrong. Who started for the Vikings yesterday?
It was I can't remember his name.
The fact
Somebody that had somebody struggled a little bit.
the fact that you can't remember his name is pretty bad.
Yeah.
And we've seen this situation. I'm just tired of saying it, but every week you're just going to say it. The fact that these terrible quarterbacks are getting starting opportunities and Kaepernick is twiddling his thumbs.
Oh no, I would be
when it comes to
happy if
football.
Colin Kaepernick was a backup right now.
Yeah, when it comes to football, he's twiddling his thumbs. When it comes to the community, he's raised now. I think next month he'll do his last donation, which will reach $1 million. So, donation to the public and things like that. But when it comes to football, he's literally twiddling his thumbs. And you got this guy who, no, I can't. You can't even remember his name. And your favorite team is the Vikings.
No clue what his name is.
Yeah. They lost against the Steelers 26-9. Patriots bounced back with a 36-20 victory over the Saints. Saints, they are trash. This was a very good game. Chiefs 27-20 over the Eagles. Came down kind of to the end. Yes, the Eagles got a touchdown with like 8 seconds left, but it was they actually got the touchdown. Then they got the onside kick, and then threw a Hail
onside
Mary.
kick was the crazy part.
Yeah, the onside kick by Burton. Burton retrieved it. He waited. He got it. He got his hand on the ball right at the 10-yard mark, and then tapped it to himself so he could keep on running.
Yeah, it was genius.
And then got him in range to throw a Hail Mary, and the pass was actually pretty good, just unsuccessful. Titans beat the Jaguars 37-16. Is everyone saying the Jaguars are for real right now? Remember last week everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, Jaguars looking too good."
We all knew, like, the Jaguars are the Jaguars. Like, you got to do more than one game to prove that you're not the Jags. You gotta at least win a couple.
Yeah. So
And they got thumped pretty good, I think, too.
Yeah,
like 37 something.
37-16.
Yeah,
Moving on.
good.
Yeah, Colts, they're terrible. They had Jacoby Brissett, who played like Jacoby Brissett and did not lead the team to victory. Jacoby Brissett on the first play of overtime throws an interception, sets it up for a Cardinals field goal to win in overtime. This was a snooze fest. Panthers, Bills, 9-3 victory. We have news coming out of that game. Raiders smacked the Jets 45-20. Dolphins squeak out a win. They get their first win in their first game due to Hurricane Irma. They win 19-17. Kicker missed this potential game-winning field goal for the Chargers. Chargers, look, I know he's missed 2 game winners. The first one wasn't his fault because it got blocked easily. This one, clearly the kicker's fault. But this guy has talent. He played at Georgia Southern. He's of South Korean descent, but he's pretty good. Give that man a chance. Also, the Chargers, like, your team shouldn't have been in that situation where they needed
Chargers
this.
they have the worst luck, I feel.
They lose. If the game is close, they're going to lose.
Oh, no, absolutely.
That's all it is.
If something can go wrong, it will go wrong for the Chargers.
Murphy's Law.
Yeah.
12-9 victory. Seahawks, they beat the 49ers. Boring game. Redskins, they get a win. 27-20. They beat the Rams. Kirk Cousins, I guess he played decent, I guess. I mean,
it's a running game.
The running game was definitely clicking. And it showed as soon as Rob Kelly got injured, that's when the Rams were really able to shut them down. But then the Redskins got that one last drive, the touchdown by Ryan Grant for the game.
Rob was killing them.
Yep. The Broncos smack my Cowboys 42-17. We got news coming out of that game and the Sunday night game, which even though the score seems close, it was not close. Falcons
not at all.
Open up their new stadium with a 34-23 victory over the Packers. Start with the Cowboys real quick. Ezekiel Elliott, 9 rushes, 8 yards. Dez Bryant didn't really do too much. That Broncos defense is ridiculous, and we've known that. We're not going to sit here and act like we just found this out. But Lyle Collins, who moved, let me give Lyle Collins some credit. He was a left guard, and now he's a right tackle. And the first 2 weeks, he had to face JPP and Von Miller. Did well against JPP, but Von Miller was eating him alive.
Yeah. Von Miller eats most people alive.
Yeah, he does. And not just Von Miller. You have Barnett and Wolf. Those guys really embarrassed the highly touted Cowboys offensive line. They got smacked in the mouth. That's all it is. And simple as that. When the running game's not clicking, you're then going to have to ask Dak Prescott to do a lot. And against a decent NFL defense, I still think Dak Prescott can play well. But when you're going up against the no-fly zone, as in Aqib Talib and Chris Harris and Roby and those guys, they're nasty. So you're asking a lot for Dak Prescott to do. And that game, I mean, wasn't close. They had a weather delay for an hour.
That doesn't help. And
I thought it would have helped because the Broncos their offense was on a tear. Trevor Siemian 4 touchdown passes. C.J. Anderson did well also. First 100-yard rusher against the Cowboys since Alfred Morris did it in the season finale of the 2016 season. Sorry, 2015 season. Sorry. So we went pretty much all of 2016 and now this game in week 2 where they finally give up a 100-yard rusher. Also, last week, a lot of Cowboys fans were saying that the Cowboys defense looks pretty good. And it was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call. Like my man Brad Sham, who is the Cowboys play-by-play on radio, he said this game was humbling, and it was because the Broncos defense is probably one of the best in the league, and your offense couldn't do a damn thing against them. So, yeah, it is humbling. Next game against the Cardinals coming up. We mentioned, the Panthers, Greg Olsen, broken foot. Is going to have surgery today.
6 to 8 weeks, right?
6 to 8 weeks. What other news in the NFL? Mentioned Sam Bradford. He's going to be out probably for a little bit. Jerry Jones. There's rumors that Jerry Jones is blocking the potential, the contract or the negotiations for Commissioner Roger Goodell's contract extension. So there's reports out there that Jerry Jones is really blocking it. Jerry Jones came out right after the game and said, look, man, I'm not blocking anything. We're actually still in negotiation. And he pretty much insinuated that he was offended that these rumors are being out there. Of course, he has to save face, but I do believe that Jerry Jones is definitely blocking this. And I do believe Jerry Jones is doing this because he's realized what has happened with Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott is in limbo of, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Is the suspension being held up? Is there a restraining order that's going to stop the suspension and things like that? So it's all over the place. And we will see where that goes. But Jerry Jones has come out and said he is not blocking the negotiation for Roger Goodell to get an extension. By the way, Roger Goodell is looking for $40 million a year.
No way.
$40 million a year, and this dude is not taking a hit. Now, if y'all want to talk about boycotting the NFL, we need to boycott it for all the other crazy, not just the Kaepernick situation. Kaepernick should be one of the situations you boycott it for. But you should also boycott it for the non-guaranteed contracts. You should also boycott it for the relatively low pay that these guys get. You should boycott it for the pension. You should boycott it for the concussions and the cover-up of the concussions and the lack of real concussion research, because we don't want concussion research to just be, let's make better helmets. Let's actually figure out how to play football, even though it's a violent sport. Just make it somewhat safer. And just yesterday, I know I'm talking about my boys, but Nolan Carroll gets a concussion, gets hit hard from one of his teammates that just came in recklessly trying to tackle. Then he comes back later in the game, gets hit again by another teammate. Maybe these guys need to learn how to actually tackle someone, because a lot of these concussions that they're getting are from like their teammates in them. Like, that's the crazy thing. So let's figure out the game is going to be violent, but it can be safer. Let's figure that out. So if you really want to boycott the NFL, boycott it for a lot of things. Also, boycott it for Roger Goodell, who is going to make $40 million and will be the highest paid NFL employee, and he never straps a helmet to his head. Isn't that crazy? Unlike the NBA, where actually the players are the ones who make a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. How much money does Adam Silver make?
He ain't making $20 million a year, and you got bums in the NBA making $20 million a year.
Oh, I don't know about that. I feel like you're coming for what's my guy that plays for the Wizards?
Who?
What's the dude that's terrible, the center?
Oh, Jan Mahimi making $16 million a year. I don't even think Adam Silver makes $16 million a year. We gotta look that up. Jan
Mahimi make more than the commissioner.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's a players' league, and I understand the NFL. They're players. They negotiated this through the CBA and all of that, but something gotta be done. Real quick before we go, who's winning the Monday night game tonight? It is the Lions on the road against the Giants. Who you got?
Lions, as long as OBJ doesn't play.
I don't think Odell Beckham's playing. However, the Lions are real fraudulent. Like, they're one of the most fraudulent teams in the NFL.
They could be.
Because they're on the road, they're going to lose. Giants will win. Everyone in the division will be 1-1 in the NFC East.
I will take that bet. One Chick-fil-A sandwich.
So yeah, Giants win. We can do Chick-fil-A. So Giants win. You got the Lions, correct?
Absolutely.
All right. So yeah, get my Chick-fil-A sandwich ready. Easy bet right there. All right, before we go, I want to thank you, Matt. I want to thank you, Jacob. Like I mentioned earlier, the show today is my last. Well, not last. We're taking a extended break. But make sure you still follow all the social media accounts. Sports Reality on Instagram. The Sports Reality on Instagram, on Twitter, sports_reality_. Also, just look up Sports Reality on Facebook. You're going to find us there. We're still going to be putting out news, updates, interesting topics, interesting articles. And then we will be making our way back to the radio eventually. But we're taking an extended break right now. So I want to thank you, not just you, Jacob, and everyone here at WLVS Radio, but also you, Matt, who comes on a lot. My boy Harold Laws of BLK Sports 980. Rike, who was my co-host before. All the countless guests who've been in here. Not Steve. I was about to say Steve Kerr. That would have been great if I had him as a guest. Zachary Kerr of the now Denver Broncos. At the time, he played for the Indianapolis Colts. Zach Kerr. Craig Lachlan of the Washington Capitals. Comcast Sports color analyst. We've had quite a few people. Bernard Samuel. Everyone who was part of Lazy Hour. A lot of people who've contributed to the show. So I want to say thank you for contributing. Like I said early in the show, it is a pit stop. The journey's not over. So until next time, everyone, Sports Reality. Peace.
You're the only